tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. This is paying respect to the triple gem, that which is the cradle of the teaching and which we hope to participate in when we give a talk or when you listen to a talk. It's a teaching that's conveyed heart to heart, human to human, generation to generation. That's how it's through living experience and through listening carefully. So, just to get us in the right place, make sure we're in the right place. We listen to a talk. First of all, open up the faculty of listening without any particular thing you want to listen to everything. As you widen your hearing, you hear the sounds of my voice, you hear the silences, you maybe hear slight rustling or coughing or whatever's going on, and you hear the silence as well. You hear the two weaving together. Bursts of sound and then patches of silence. And you see if you can maintain a kind of steady receptivity to all of that and to the interplay. Noticing where, when the voice comes in, your heart might lift up a bit or get activated. Perhaps when the silence comes in, you might find yourself really enjoying that. But try not to take sides. Just let it all. Let the heart receive it all. And in the inner noise, it's the kind of fluctuations of where's this going or how long I'm going to be here for, that also that. So you just keep widening, listening. And you get a sense of something, some field of attention widening and maintaining the sense of openness and receptivity to all of it. So in a way it's non-dual. It's not saying this is sound is better than the silence or the silence is better than the sound. It's just all of it. And you might just float, I recommend you just float the question, where is this listening? Where is it based? Where is it? Where is that for me? Try not to think about it, just sensing in, and you probably sense some kind of grounding, subtle sense, which is called embodiment. It's not an anatomical reference, it's a reference to the body as an experience of sensitivity, which it is. Don't concern yourself with it, your anatomy, just the whole sense of, I'm really here. I'm here, steadied by some presence and open. This is a foundation for what I call meditation. And it's a place you can return to and see if you can sustain as you listen to what I'm going to talk about and see which pieces land for you. Probably not all of it will. That's understood. Something too complicated or divergent or your attention slips, that's okay. Because one piece or two pieces may land, and that's good. Because it's all going the same way. It's called Dhamma. It's going in the same direction. So no straining. Putting the intellect into the back seat. And talk about heart, because that's what you're listening through. And the embodiment acts as a kind of cradle or a receptacle or something that stabilizes. As the heart tends to surge or tremble, there's that sense of embodied presence grounding everything. And then the qualities that we hear, we resonate with, we feel moved by, really go deep, because they begin to transform our involuntary reflexes into embodied. Our anxiety, our bitterness, our whatever, whatever needs to be cleaned out. This is the process that we undertake, and today being Luang Por Sucitto, day of significance, a day when we deliberately recollect resetting, re-establishing our references, our access, doing this internal house cleaning. What's there that's causing me regret? What's there that's causing me anxiety? What's there that's causing me wavering, lack of confidence? What's there? And returning to, I acknowledge that, I recognize that. I return to, I aspire to truth, to truthfulness, to understanding, and to purity. And letting that aspiration, that recognition, that reference point be deeply felt. And seeing, oh yeah, that's, everybody gets worried, everybody gets annoyed, everybody feels they've made mistakes. Yeah, it's being human. It's like that. And we compassionately put an end, compassionately, to creating stress, suffering for ourselves. We know this comes not through denying or justifying or law or tribunals or punishment, but just through sheer, unflinching, compassionate honesty. Being human, like everyone else. Okay. This is where we've landed in this birth. It's a fortunate place, but it's not heaven. It's a very fortunate place, because here, where we can really deeply understand conflict and the end of it. We can be the healers through healing ourselves and for understanding how we get confused, how we get defensive, how we get aggressive, how we get jealous, and how we acknowledge that and put an end to it. This is teaching for human beings. Human beings are the ones the Buddha felt was the supreme vehicle for awakening. This human birth. So Yes, it's problematic, but it's also a privilege to do this kind of work. Other beings are just stuck where they are. When you know what you have to do as a human being to fulfill the potential of the human being, you can know that, then also you have gained something precious. To know what it is to be a human being, its flaws and its confusion, and its potential for collectedness, for truth, for courage, for love. You know that, and you keep inclining in the true way. And this is what you do. Your life, situations, circumstances, relationships, activities. Yeah, it's a mystery, it's a maze, but you carry this light through that maze, and you work and you walk and you move at whatever pace you can through this living experience. It's a matter of heart. Your heart is essential. Obviously, I'm talking in words, associate words with the intellect. Buddha talked in words. And clearly the Buddha, at that time, was aware of all the various debates and discussions in this very profound Indian religious tradition, where they were Upanishads were arising, these evocations of intimate truth and the nature of the infinite, the soul, the Brahman, and so forth. Where are we in all this? And the Buddha knew this, heard this, and said, I've heard all this, I know all this, but you can get lost in the views and the tangle of it. It's just, and then, however, whatever these profound realizations are, now we're dealing with words, and that's not going to get you there. What's going to get you there is the very simple, deep human experience, dukkha. Stress, suffering, incompleteness, feeling inadequate, something not fulfilled. Touching into that. And where's that going to happen? It's not going to have the intellect. It happens smack bang in the heart. And so this is the place you stand with that, you turn to that, you return to that, you gather the strength to face that and let it open you beyond the panic, the frustration, the blaming, the doubt, the worry, into something that's capable of handling that and gently extracting the thorn that we didn't know was there. Craving for existence, craving to be, craving to have, craving to belong, craving to not belong, craving to get out, craving to keep going, craving to be something. It's not that you're nothing. It's just that you can't hold it because you are it. You are being. But we don't want to be. We want to be something. See what I mean? Whereas being has no predicate. Being is being. You can't be something because that's an object, isn't it? But when we don't know being, when we don't know truth, then we're looking round for something to have or to aim for or to accumulate. But it's Obviously sense pleasures, status, power, crude stuff, but probably more refined is security, continuity, future, a recipe, button I can push, slogan, God, somebody help. You know, that kind of panic. You know, and then you wrap your heart around that sense of, I wish I could, I wish I was, when will I ever be? This is dukkha. Handle it with love and compassion, with steadiness. And you can discharge that. It's like comforting something, like a frightened animal, frightened child. Everybody has this. And this is what generates the kind of learning and the growth that we overlook. Without this, it's a spur. It's a spur. If we didn't have that spur, we didn't have that thorn, we wouldn't bother. That's why they say these devatas, these heavenly beings who are experiencing bliss and happiness, they don't get enlightened because they can't be bothered. They're having a good time. We get just enough to keep a bit of nudging, digging, poking. To keep, you've got to grow. Yeah, of course we struggle, of course we complain, of course we feel inadequate, but get on with it. And it's not, there's a kind of growth that's a growth in widening. This is a quality of heart. Okay. So, sometimes we talk about difference, supreme, you see. So supreme, we tend to think of an upward direction, like higher, 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 one and only, going up and up to higher states. Well, actually heart is wider, wider, wider. Wider, wider, wider. That's the direction. And that widening, and the crampedness and the agitation begins to unfold and unwrap. You feel cleaned in it. This is process. You're taking it. This humility of the teaching, the accessibility of it is, if you suffer, you can do it. If you can know stress and you've got enough to hear it and listen to it and get to be with that, then you're on the right track, and it's called a step by step teaching. Now we can speculate about the nature of sublime awareness or infinite consciousness or non-dualistic stuff, Yeah, it's all intriguing. And maybe inspiring. And that's fine. But when it gets down to the day-to-day nitty-gritty, it's just putting your feet on, what's pushing me, what's unfulfilled, and working with that. That's where you do the real growth around that. And that's always available. Certainly once you get into this particular field, you read some of these masters, you think, what? When these masters talking about this fourth jhana and infinite consciousness, you think, oh my God, I can't ever do that. No way. It's just so high, so profound, it's impossible. There's a pretty Olympic standards there, so you can feel very inadequate, I always felt so comforted with Luang Por Sucitto saying, well, if you can know unskillful thought is unskillful thought, then you're doing well. You're on the right track. And you don't follow it. Yeah, I think I can manage that. Just about. Let's keep going. See what the next thing comes up. That's where you have to work. I have these ideas of what it could be like at the end of the path, but that isn't going to get you there. You know? So it makes it very everyday, every day, and it's also, it's open, but it also means there's no excuses. You can't have a day off from being a human. But it's accessible, so you work with it. Whether you're doing stuff, sitting still, sitting quietly, dealing with domestic crisis, it's all practice. But you practice, the important thing is to really bring the head into the heart. And when the head gets into the heart, you really open and see and really know. And then you get the body, gives you the stability and the grounding, and then the head can rise up with wisdom and say, okay, now I've been there, I see this, I see that, now I can give guidance. So it's that process. So important. Because with two things in radical short supply, in my view, in this our culture, day and age culture. One is embodiment, and the other is truth. And the two go together. Embodiment, truth. Now, embodiment is not about meat and bones and hair and skin and male and female and big and short. It's about what I've just tried to introduce you to and remind you of, if you're familiar with it. Just this sense of how the body knows it's here. Here. Nothing else knows it's here. The eye knows what it can see around it, but it doesn't know where it is. The body knows it's here. And more as I move around, I'm noticing that there seems to be in radical short supply. Everybody seems to be going somewhere else apart from being here. Everything is encouraging them to physically go somewhere else, or psychologically go somewhere else, emotionally go somewhere else, into fantasy land, into projection, into ambition, into ideas, into power, into money, into more of this and more of that, and away from this and more of that, into that we call the field of becoming, where it's always got wheels on it. More, there, more, better, more happy, more exciting, more. Or away, but here. Because here you can't sell here. There's nothing to buy in it. There's no money in here. So mainstream doesn't really want to do here, because in here you're kind of pretty contented. And you've got your ground. You don't have to buy anything. And it's oblivious to what you look like. Doesn't matter. What you're wearing doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant. There's nothing to buy, sell, get excited about. It's not even that exciting. You can't claim, I am the only here person in the world, because that's not here. Here is just here. There's no being, there's no person here, there's no identity, it's just here-ness. So we don't really attain anything. We just remember to stop being so foolish. But then, the other quality that arises with that, if you're tuning into it, you get this subtle sense of joy. Because the pressure's off. And you're home, and you're safe. And you're in something that's doing this work for you. Living, breathing, sensing, vibrant, warm energies. And this is rather uplifting. Doesn't cost anything. And then if you use that to refer, you're referring your heart to that, and you recollect what kind of actions is where truth comes in. What actions were true? And remembering those, then the heart gets very comfortable and uplifted. And this is the other quality that's in short supply. What do I mean by truth? Satya. So we say 2 and 2 equals 4. Is that true or false? So it's true. It's intellectually true. It's accurate. But 2 bananas and 2 tractors don't mean 4 anything, do they? It's just numbers in the sky. So there's all kinds of intellectual accuracies or measurements. That isn't exactly what the Buddha meant. Satya. Satya is associated with the word sat. Sat means being. A being is actual, living, real. So truth is an actual, living, real experience. Not an abstract notion, but you live truth, you realize truth, and you speak from the place of truth. If you don't speak from truth, you can't speak truth. Yeah? And where is the place of truth? In this embodied heart. If the truth just says, I'm suffering, then that's true. Yeah? So, and this is in short supply because not that people are lying all the time, but just we're talking abstract, conceptual, intellectual accuracy, which in terms of the heart is just noise. You say 2 and 2 equals 4 to a dog, it looks like you're mad. You pat it on the head and it gets it. That's true. And that sense of, when we're looking at realization and liberation, we want to be with experiences that don't just dazzle or buzz through the thinking mind, that land in the heart and resonate there. The Buddha is called the truth finder, the truth speaker, the one who says it actually as it is, because they see truth, know truth, and come from the place of truth. When they speak, or even when they're silent, they're still coming from truth. The truth is not intellectual accuracy, it's a place of real. Yeah? So the 4 noble truths are sometimes called the 4 realities. This is real. It's not an idea. Dukkha is real. It's not an absolute, but it's a place that you can know, and it's for everyone. It's not a matter of an opinion, because it grabs the heart. That's called truth. Yeah. And fortunately, of course, there's a cause, there's a welling up of that experience, of a particular infestation that's taken over, it takes over. And that infestation can be withdrawn. There's a ceasing of the stress. And there is a step-by-step process a wheel that you turn. So it's not even a wheel We're not even looking at path going forward. We're more looking at turning the wheel. His eightfold path. It's a wheel. It means you just start with right view, and see that goes to this, to right view, which is the law, the truth of interconnection. Okay? So it means what I do has consequences. I inherit conditions from others. I inherit from my father, my mother, and what's around me. I'm in an interactive causal condition. It means things affect me and I affect everything else. You can't get out of this system. You can't say, I don't want to cause anything. You can't, you're going to do it. And you can't say, I'm not going to be caused or created or formed or volitionally attuned or influenced by others. It's going to happen. So when you get that, you take responsibility. Right? That's why it's a truth that gets you woken up and activated in a skillful way, meaningful. So take responsibility. You've been formed, you've been created, you've been affected, okay? And you're going to do it to others. Let's see if now we can attune to the alignment of truth as axial. That is that which lasts. So we say, well, what lasts is the sense of as clarity, as openness, as the heart, as the body. This is what we know as, through all my turmoils and joys and anguish and fun and da-da-da-da-da, there's been this. And, we say, how old are you now, and so forth. Yeah, but it was the same 20 years ago, although maybe I didn't check in with it. This is ageless, deathless, you could say. And then be returning to that. And so from this place you begin to sense, when I stand on my integrity, on my aspiration, I'm inclining to that true axis that I can sustain, and then I take responsibility for the causes conditions that I bring forth in my motivation, how I'm motivated, in my efforts, my energies, my speech, my activities, my livelihood, and so forth. So, and trusting, if we just keep that wheel turning, that wheel does the progress. If we can even talk in such terms. I don't do progress, I just turn that wheel, and I'm amazed that, doubt has left me. Bitterness has left me. Cynicism has left me. Generosity has arisen. Loving kindness has arisen. I am blessed. Yeah? That wheel has turned me along this way. It's called the path eliminates the defilements, not me. But I humbly incline towards that wheel and take those steps. So that gives us a place in this. Intention, every intention we make, we have that choice. To make a clear intention towards, as best I can, towards truthfulness, towards qualities that I know in my heart of heart I hold dear: patience, kindness, equanimity, resilience. Yeah, I don't always do it that well, but those I hold dear, they resonate with me. Then, I bring my intentions behind those, and we'll see where that goes. What else can you do? Yeah, what else can you do? And who knows? So it's in short supply, because by and large we are bombarded with information which may be accurate, but some of it's extremely dubious, because most of it's, a lot of it, I don't know, is aimed to push you in some direction, or to provoke you, or to annoy you, or to get you stirred up, one or another. So you're thinking, get a feeling for that. I don't know about that. It's making me hate people. I don't like that. It's trying to get me to hate people. Well, it can't be good. You know, you smell it. You know, that can't be. Whatever, however accurate it is, it's not carrying qualities that hold dear. You know, you're thinking to filter. And, you know, and then you realise somewhat, I suppose we all suffer from a degree of naivety, at least I do. It's not actually against the law for, you know, Ajahn Inkasako was telling me the other day, which says, you know, if you're campaigning in the United States, it's not against the law to tell it to lie. So you can lie through an election campaign continually. That's okay. That's called free speech. And that's held highly. We stand by freedom of speech. Responsibility of speech we don't stand for at all. Freedom of speech, just say what you like, whatever shoots out for your own advantage, just blab it out and get it on the social media thing. When you hear that, you think, uh-oh, it's not against the law. No. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're in demon territory. And that's what you get. Because when you consider, we've been taking precepts and, you know, this simple thing, quite simply express harmfulness and, you know, covetousness and theft and so forth. And you've got this not lying, not lying. Actually, I don't know if you could prioritise the precepts, but probably that's pretty much the most important one. The most important one. Because even if you're a bloody-handed murderer, you can only kind of murder one person a day, generally. Maybe most people can't do that. But you can lie, and you can spread those lies to 5 million people. And you can get them to do more lying, or more hating, or more divisiveness, and more stupidity. And you can carry a whole nation along like that, on a lie. Yeah. And it's said in the Dhammapada, for one who tells a deliberate lie, there is no harm they will not do. There is no evil they will not do. Such a simple, modest statement. You're thinking, it's a bit sort of, primary school. Yeah, it's primary school. It looks like some people have not actually left primary school yet. Or been there even, And you think, if that's the case, then that's the end of society, isn't it? Because if you can't trust what... When war is called a military operation, when bombing harmless civilians is called a military operation. Is that true? Isn't it just terror and anguish and callousness? Why do you have to use these funny old words? Military operation. Yeah. Why do you have to use funny words like, getting rid of terrorist threats? What you mean is actually bombing people who've got no way of defending themselves. Starving children. Why do you have to call it keeping our borders safe? Is that true? You could say it's intellectually, but on the heart level, it just does not bearable. Can we tell truth? No. So that was always the establishment. So today, for example, a special thing is a kind of a ritual. It's like everything we do repeatedly, rituals can get just blah, 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 blah. But the idea is encouragement is, for the monastics, now's the time, please tell the truth. There's no judgment, there's no blaming, just say the truth. We listen. Yeah. Okay. Where did you slip up? Yeah. Where did you call pachitya? Where did your chitta fly off? Just say it, because it's so you hear it. When you say it, you hear it. And you go, yeah, that wasn't so good, was it? That's it. And then you say, yeah, I'm going to try to do better next. That's what you do. There's no, it's just we say this to each other, and the other person acts just as a sounding board. So you're able to say your truth, even if your truth is about where you slipped up. Because as soon as in that moment, the Buddha himself says, as soon as that moment, when you say the truth of where you slipped up, who is speaking? The truth bearer is speaking. Right? So it's not like the same, they call it confession, but it's not really a confession, it's about presenting where we've made mistakes so that the truth speaker can speak the truth and know themselves as the truth speaker. Speaking about the human condition. Speaking about where we get careless, where we get sloppy, where we get casual, where we get a little bit greedy, where we hoard, where we say things that are not very nice. And certainly in monastic life, it's pretty small stuff. It's like, I pulled up a thistle. It's pretty mild stuff, but you look and say, it doesn't matter really. It's just learning to kind of put it out there. So today I have spoken truth. I've been in the place of truth. I've spoken truth, and I've been heard in that place. You've got a sense that you come upright. This isn't what we're doing. It's a beautiful thing if it's encouraged, because every time you come upright, you get clearer and sharper, and you know yourself. It's not really yourself, but you know your axis becomes clearer, more stable, more steady. And that's what it's all about. It's a gift, giving yourself back to your own truth. This is the truth of heart. Heart, another word for heart, it's not so often used. Someone's reminded me of it today, so I checked it out. The hadeya, another word for heart. It refers, it's a kind of interesting word, well, those who like words like me, because it's the only word that refers to the anatomy, the physical heart, as well as the spiritual heart. So it crosses that. So when we chant the parts of the body, hadeyang, heart, means it's a physical organ. But more often it's used in a kind of metaphorical spiritual sense, like put your heart into something. How's that affecting you in your heart? Your heart broken, heartache. So it's very much aligned to citta, which, as I've said, heart is not a bad word for citta, but citta is a little more, has a lot of intentionality with it. So hadeya is much more like just the more like the functional receptivity, and the citta can attune to wisdom. Yeah? And the word itself, the Sanskrit, hridaya, so Pali is a version of Sanskrit, is three roots. Hrid means to give, da means to take, and ya means balance. So it means giving and taking in balance. Just like the physical heart, it takes in all the oxygenated blood and gives out the oxygenated. So it just takes and gives in balance. And it's not just that, because though we tend to think of the heart as being a blood machine, it's actually not. It's not got the capacity to pump blood around the body. So the heart is more like the conductor of the orchestra. So it sets the tone, and then all the arteries and everything starts participating in the pumping. So that's what it does. It's the conductor says, this is the guy which you're going to play, upbeat a bit, and everything starts doing that. The lungs, everything starts working together. So heart is the harmonizer that brings the whole system into balance. Yeah, and it's basically 60% of it is nervous tissue. So it's just sensing. It's sensing what's going on in these organs, what's happening here, what's happening. And it's also sensing, how sense contact is affecting. It's also sensing perceptions. We see something, we feel a little bit alarmed. How does the eyeball, how does that visual experience get translated into a movement away or for something? That's the heart receives external signals, internal signals, and how's this all going to balance out? So we need to give a bit more of this and adjust that, slow that down, open that up, get the lungs working, to recoil, turn back, get on alert or relax. That's the conductor. So it's doing this, this beautiful thing. And why that's so essential? Because that's the way, that kind of intelligence, why it's considered not just a physical harmonizer, it's also a spiritual harmonizer. Because that's kind of what our embodied intelligence, heart-based intelligence, is learning to do. Having seen this, having heard that, having felt this, what do I do now? So first of all, how do I feel now? So it's using that kind of intelligence, feeling-based. This is the basis of what's called true satya knowledge. Vedana, feeling. You look in the Indian tradition, you have these 4 Vedas, which are called the 4 great knowledges, Veda. And they're the systems that which sets us in order, in Dhamma. Order is Dhamma. What sets us in order is the great Vedas, the great truths. Huge books. Well, Vedana is associated with Vedana. Vedana means that which enables us to know the truth. Vedana is called feeling. So in English language, these words just split completely. Feeling is not the same as understanding. It's a kind of purely emotional shiver. But in that united, holistic tradition, feeling is part of the way we know things, the very primary way we know something, when we know pleasure and pain, when we know happiness and sadness, the way we know aggression and receptivity and forgiveness and loving. These are important things to know, not just as ideas. You get them through feeling it, and sensing in the heart going, well, wait a minute, unbalanced. Let's get and just relax. Okay, where's your truth? Where's your axis? Okay, right. This is what we do. So going through that process, where you learn true knowledge of this is where I'm getting stuck. This is where I'm just fantasizing and wishing and craving, and I don't need to do that to arrive at fulfillment. I don't have to do that. And just getting that message, which is always just such a relief. I don't have to long for something and wish I was something. If I could just understand that push and relinquish it, I might arrive fulfilled where I am, figuratively speaking, and open and enjoy and steady that. Maybe that is it. And it's an unfolding paradigm, because it may sound like quite, but what being unfolds into is very profound and measureless. Yeah? Haddaya, that which keeps things giving, taking in balance. When we learn this, we're prepared to take in some of the impurities. I'm open to that. How can I turn this into compassion, relinquishment, forbearance, so on? And this, because this process makes me truly, truly human and fulfilled. And then once you're getting it, it's a very direct, universal message. So I was remembering just today, because there's all sorts of issues around, migrants and asylum seekers and just, people, too many people and da-da-da-da-da. And surely, people have criminal tendencies. We all have criminal tendencies. I don't think you have to come from Somalia to be a criminal tendency. I think you can be true blue Brit and have a criminal tendency. I don't, so let's cut that one out and look at people who need some support and help. How can we help them? We may not have much, but we've got a lot more than they got. So, when I was remembering this South African nun who was just, so she's born South African nun, so she's born in pretty poor situation. She struggles, gets education, gets a degree, decides to do caring, nursing, becomes a nun, and so forth. So she's got peanuts basically to live on, but she gets some little homestead, you can call it a house, and there's kids. Desperate kids, so she has to take them in. South Africa, AIDS epidemic, you could be the head of the household when you're 10 years old because your mum and dad are dead. You're the oldest survivor. So this is the kind of state you're in. The kids, she's going to have to take them in. Have to take them in. It's not a choice, you have to take them in. Okay, so she gets 1, 2, 3. Okay, somebody else turns up, orphan kid. I've got to take them in. You've got 10 already. Well, we just have to struggle a bit more. Have to do without a little bit more, but I'll take them in. I can't not take them in. So you think, this is madness. You can't manage. I've got to do it. I've got to take them in. They turned up my door, I've got to take them in. How are you going to manage? I don't know. I've got to take them in. So she's doing this. The word gets out. People say, oh wow, that's one. I want to make a donation to this person. I want to help out. So she gets donations come in. She starts to be able to educate, look after children. She did the sacrifice, she did the courage, and the universe responded. Wasn't easy. There was no set conclusion where it's going to arrive at. You just say, do the truth. You do the truth as best you can. It's going to come back to you. That's the way it is. And it's very resonant. The reason he's got, Angelique ago was mentioning a much more modest level, but quite marvellous in its own way. We've got a message. Somebody had a big Buddha rupa my father had. I think it's from China. He's passed away. Would you like this Buddha image? It weighs half a ton of marble. So, okay, Buddha, like, this is Buddha, you don't have a Buddha. You invite a Buddha to live with you. And you offer, so we have all kinds of Buddha rupas and say, would you like to take care of have a Buddha in your house? You have to look after it. If you keep the precepts, you can have a Buddha. So we use it as a kind of something that, it's physical, but it's also spiritual. And, you sort of play with the two. In one way it's just a lump of brass or stone, but another way, no, you can resonate, and this is an image that's there that indicates, and then indicated because these people knew this Buddha, you don't just dump this, you don't sell it. This has got to be going to offer it to a monastery first. They knew that. How did they know that? Because what Buddha stands for. So we've got to get the thing, Petworth. So get on the old phone, yellow pages or whatever they are. Oh yeah, it costs you 1,300 quid to transport it from Petworth. It's a bit steep, 1,300 quid. There's a pause on that one, so the word goes out. Oh, I know somebody who'll do it for less than that, my friend of mine. Okay, well, you just give us price of petrol and 50 quid. We'll bring it over. And we'll bring it over, and they've got a crane to lift it over a fence and put it in his backyard. So it's a massive thing. It's going to land. So you get this Buddha on the back of the truck. Imagine this Buddha cruising through West Sussex. Nothing else in the truck apart from this Buddha sitting there. Lotus. Blessing the population of West Sussex as he goes along. They land here and they winch the Buddha up and take it over a fence and settle it down. And they say, okay, well, 50 people. Say, no, nothing. It's on us. This is free. We're so ashamed of that somebody asked 1,300 quid. We feel so embarrassed. We want to do this for free. So, it's small. But these are not card-carrying Buddhists. These are working people who know zero about the teachings, but they know about integrity, truth, honesty, and respect those who are keeping precepts. Dong. A person of truth acts like a tuning fork. Bong, and then people listen. Okay. Oh yeah, of course. Right? And so that's how it works. That's how it works, you see. And you don't need social media for that. You just keep that tuning fork. Bong, and somebody's going to turn their head. Go, oh yeah, of course, I'll help out, of course. It's like that. And that's the way it's always spread and generated, the true Dharma. Just people hitting that sound that goes straight to the heart. And anybody can do it. And anybody can hear it. And anybody can pick it up. Because you all have hearts. And you all know the tune. You just need to remember it. Have confidence in it. So friends, I've talked a lot, and I hope one or two of these little sounds has reminded you, triggered things for you, helped you out, and now we have the evening to continue to enjoy, because nature of truth is not just good, it's actually happy. Your heart feels happy in it. And comfortable. This is the guide towards deep samadhi through resonating with, valuing, qualities, the uplifting qualities of truth. And you abide in it, it gladdens you, and it clears away the stains and the sorrows. So we have time to practice directly, in community, in common, in the situation. What a gift. Make the effort you can, as best you can, and it'll be for your benefit.
Hang namayam dhamma avargataya sadhu karang dadhamma se sadhu sadhu sadhu